The Danish capital's 2025 carbon-neutral plans have gone up in smoke. This comes after a vital heat and energy source delayed its plans to put a lid on its CO2 emissions. Here's a report with more.
With its kilometers of cycle lanes and sustainable ethos, Danish capital Copenhagen is often seen as a green example. But authorities recently saw their hopes to become the first carbon-neutral capital by 2025 going up in smoke. The Amager Resource Centre is an incineration plant in the city's outskirts. They failed in a bid to secure state funding for a full-scale carbon capture plant, capable of capturing around 500,000 tons of annual CO2 emissions. The publicly owned ARC receives combustible waste from about 600,000 citizens. It's burnt to produce warm water for the city's district heating system and electricity. About 90,000 homes are reliant on the centre's heat and electricity. After the smoke is passed through boilers and released its heat, it is then filtered of nitrogen oxides, hydrochloric acids, mercury and other unwanted substances.
What we emit is pretty much, water vapor and of course CO2. And the CO2 part, we are trying to do something about that.
Bosses are now working on alternative business plans. They hope that a full-scale carbon capture plant will eventually be in operation before 2030 at a cost of around $279 million. Copenhagen's 2025 plans have been in place since 2012, with hopes of reducing CO2 emissions through a mixture of energy savings, public transport, renewable energy and a focus on cycling. Officials said that they have made significant reductions since then. Others say Copenhagen's 2025 plan had been doomed for years due to no significant curbs on the city's traffic. City Hall says 544,000 tons of CO2 was emitted by Copenhagen's transport sector in 2010 alone. Passenger cars claimed almost half that share with 254,000 tons.
The problem is that the cars emit a lot of carbon dioxide, of course. But they also take up so much space that they actually restrict other forms of sustainable transport. So bicycling in Copenhagen is actually down, and the public transportation took a big hit under the coronavirus and hasn't recovered. So people are simply just driving their cars because it's easy and some ways comfortable for themselves.
CO2 remains the single most important greenhouse gas generated by human activity, mainly from the burning of fossil fuels and cement production. A report published by the International Energy Agency said that the world must move quickly to slash carbon dioxide emissions from coal. There's still hope that Copenhagen would eventually meet its goal. The authorities are working on a new plan to meet the goal by 2035. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.